What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the NFL Sunday Roundup Show here on Betting Pros. I'm your host, Russell Brown. We are back, week 7, somewhat in the books. We've got 2 games tomorrow. For Monday night, we currently have the Jets and the Steelers playing. Right now, it is 7-3 with the Jets winning that game. But we're going to recap a little bit about week 7, things that happened today. Start on to week 8. We'll also look into Monday Night Football. I'm only going to look at one of the games for Monday night. I'm not going to look at the second game for Monday night, but looking into some of week 7 of what happened today. Washington absolutely crushed the Panthers. They moved to 6-1 to the over this season. So if you're looking to bet the Commanders, you're going to want to bet them on probably the total and particularly to the over. Jaden Daniels did suffer a rib injury. It does sound like he's going to be okay, but at any point that might alter the over-under to those games if he ends up being out. So you'll have to kind of monitor that. But they can put up points in a snap of a finger. They play the Bears next week. Should be a really good game between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. So we'll look into that game probably later in the week. And if you guys want to kind of tail these bets and get more information on these bets, what you're going to have to do is join the Discord so you can get all the information that you're looking for on that. So you're looking to up your game in sports betting, join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks, cash your votes, see how your picks stack up against the experts, and track your success. So go to bettingpros.com/chat. We'll get more information on Washington, Chicago, those lines as they get updated throughout the week. Currently, that's one game that does not have any action on it as I'm looking on DraftKings Sportsbook. So we'll have to keep tabs on that moving forward as those lines get updated. But another team, Atlanta, they lost today. They're 4-3 on the year. They're 3-0 though against the NFC South. I felt like Seattle was going to probably have a bounce back spot. I actually bet them straight up to win. So with Atlanta though, I feel pretty good in the fact that the next 4 games they play Tampa, Dallas, at New Orleans, at Denver. It just feels very winnable for what they've got coming up on the schedule. So they might be a team that you might want to just take straight up moving forward. If at any point you don't feel like they're worth it, then maybe you stay out of it. But I think they're certainly a team worth monitoring straight up, especially when they're at home. One thing, they did not play today. The Dallas Cowboys, they've been outscored, though, 83-28 in the first half this year. Not sure what the totals are going to be for the 49ers game next week when Dallas and San Francisco play. But if you can get some totals on first half spread or first half totals with the Cowboys, it might be worth betting one against them and maybe taking the over because they're just getting pounced in the first half. So keep tabs on that with the Dallas Cowboys. And then lastly, one little quick stat for everybody. NFL road favorites are now 12-0 straight up or against the spread over the last 2 weeks. Today we saw Philly, we saw Cincinnati win on the road, we saw Denver win on the road on Thursday. Tomorrow we've got the Chargers and Baltimore. Both teams are actually currently favored on the road. Baltimore's 3.5 against Tampa. The Chargers are 1.5 against the Cardinals. You could probably parlay that together, get plus 270 odds. I think that might be pretty juicy. It might be something that I leave in my bet slip here and actually submit after the show. But next week, you've got some interesting road favorites as well. You got Green Bay, Baltimore. They're minus 10.5 against Cleveland. You've got Buffalo -3. Green Bay is -5.5. There'll be something that we talk about a little bit further here. Kansas City's -10. So a couple of different road favorites, some big numbers there for teams to cover. Not necessarily sure if that's something that people are going to want to do, but certainly something to look into. And another thing, Kansas City Chiefs, love them or hate them, but they find ways to win. They're 5-1 against the spread right now. So far this season, they're 6-0 straight up. best football team in the National Football League. So depending on what some of their totals are, you might want to just bet them straight up or again against the spread. Again, 10-point favorites next week. They're playing the Raiders in Las Vegas. So I don't necessarily know what folks want to do with that, but it's a stat worth having. So let's jump into week 8 and start with one game that I'm really looking forward to for obvious reasons, if you can tell by my hat. Detroit Lions opening up at home as 12.5 point favorites against the Titans. The Titans are 1-5 against the spread. One of the best teams since 2021 against the spread is the Detroit Lions. The only team even close to that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Lions have been great against these numbers. 12.5 is a lot, though. Whether you're home or away does not matter. That's a lot of points in the NFL. I'm very much intrigued, though, with the over 45.5. The total on this at -110. Detroit is 3-3 to the over. The Titans are 3-2-1 to the over. The Titans have not had a game go over 45.5 points yet this season, but I'll put trust in the Lions to put up those points against the Titans. I think maybe this is a game that you could put in a teaser as well. Maybe you tease it down 6.5 points, get it, closer to 39.5, 39 points, and maybe you're betting like over 40 essentially. If you're into teasers, I do one every Sunday. So maybe that's something you want to look into. I mentioned road favorites, Green Bay -5.5 against Jacksonville, -110 here. Green Bay's 4-3 against the spread. Jacksonville's 3-4. I think that the Packers are just so much better than the Jaguars offensively. They can run the football. Josh Jacobs is really starting to get into gear. Jaden Reed looked a little rusty today with the ankle injury, but Romeo Doubs is really starting to figure it out after kind of the weird dilemma that happened there 2 weeks ago. So I think Green Bay is really intriguing here, especially with Jacksonville coming back from London. I know they beat New England, but this should be a letdown spot for them. So we look at this big number, as I mentioned, that under NFL road favorites being 12-0. I think this is certainly something to keep tabs on as we look at this. The other one, Giants, Pittsburgh under 37. It's -110. The Giants offense really struggled today. Drew Lock even got to play. They struggled against the Eagles completely, and they were at home. I don't know what they do against this Steelers defense. And right now, just looking at the Steelers offense, they're still, struggling a little bit here with Russell Wilson, whether it's Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. There really doesn't seem to be any confidence in this offense to put up points. And when you look at it, the Giants are 1-6 to the over this year, one of the worst numbers in the NFL. Pittsburgh is 2-4 to the over. We'll see what that number will be after tonight against the Jets. But I'll put trust in the Steelers defense to keep a very inconsistent offense to limited points. The Giants defense plays relatively well, so I think they can limit Pittsburgh as well. This should be a pretty low scoring game. So if we're looking into week 8, I would look at the under on the Giants and Steelers game. And then the only other game that I would keep tabs on is the Indianapolis Colts +6.5 at Houston at -110. I don't know what the Colts are as a football team right now, but I will say I don't think they're very good, but they're far from awful. They compete with the teams that they play against, and they're not playing against very good football teams. And I know Houston is by far the best team that they've played in some time, but they kept them tight earlier this year. They only lost by 2. The Colts are 6-1 against the spread, and I think 6.5 points. They've been able to compete within that range every single week. So Houston +6.5. I didn't put them officially kind of up on the board, but that was a game I wanted to talk about briefly, just because I think the Colts are very up and down. But when we look at the number and from the betting perspective, 6.5 points, not too bad. So I would definitely, again, keep tabs on the Colts at 6.5. Now we are going to move forward to Monday Night Football. And there's 2 games here that I like both games, but I'm going with a completely different game. So let's move on to Monday Night Football. There's 2 games, like I mentioned, Cardinals -1.5 against Arizona. We also have Baltimore -3.5 against Tampa Bay. I'm only going to focus on one of those games, and that's simply so you can build a same game parlay, which, look, if you guys are looking to build your own same game parlay, check out the Betting Pros same game parlay builder. Combine multiple bets with a single NFL game, leveraging insights like correlated bet recommendation, EV ratings, cover probability, and more. Perfect your betting strategy by analyzing overall correlation grades and projections, and stay ahead by following the latest same game parlays placed by fellow bettors. Start building winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay or on the Betting Pros sports betting app. So I'm focusing on Baltimore and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I'm pretty intrigued with the total in this game. Just I know it's a relatively high number at 50 points, but I feel like both these teams can put up points, and I don't think the Baltimore defense has been playing completely out of their mind, and I don't think Tampa Bay's been playing out of their mind either. But we've got Mark Andrews over 2.5 receptions. That's the first leg of this parlay. Andrews is starting to heat up. This is plus 115. He's starting to heat up for the Ravens offense. In his last game, he had 4 receptions, and 2 weeks ago, he had 3 receptions. He's up to 7 in his last 2 games and 13 for the season. I'll take Andrews to get 3+ receptions in this game. After all, the Bucs defense is allowing 7 receptions per game to tight ends over their last 3 games. So I think this is a good spot for Mark Andrews to kind of keep the hot streak going. Baltimore minus 3.5 at minus 110. The Ravens are 3-2-1 against the spread this season. Tampa Bay is 4-2, and I know they're at home, but I love the way that the Ravens can run the football. I think there's some uncertainty with the Bucs and how they're able to run the football or how they're not able to run the football. They had a great game last week, and it kind of feels like they come back to earth a little bit. Rashad White is banged up. So I just feel like Baltimore's different than most teams that Tampa's going to play. So I like them at minus 3.5. And again, road favorites, 12-0. We got to follow that number. We got to trust that. So give me Baltimore to win this game. And then just the third bet, which can be a straight bet if you'd like, if you're into player props and those types of things. But Zay Flowers hitting over 22.5 yards for his longest reception in this game. It's minus 125. He's done it in back-to-back weeks. I think as the leading receiver in Baltimore, he gets a ton of targets, a ton of opportunities. They do throw to him deep at least once or twice a game. All he's got to do is come down with it. I think he can do it. Monday Night Football, primetime spot. I like the Ravens here. I like Andrews and Zay Flowers as well. And, of course, you got to like the Baltimore Ravens ground game. So that's where I'm at for Monday Night Football. Again, I will probably get into the Discord chat as well as other experts here at Betting Pros and talk a little bit more about the Chargers and the Cardinals and then more about Week 8. But that's all I've got on the recap for Week 7. A little look ahead for Week 8. We talked some Monday Night Football. You guys, of course, can rate, review, and subscribe to Betting Pros on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can get Betting Pros as well. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter or X at Russ NFL Draft. I'll be back next week, same time, same place, right here on bettingpros.com. Until then, you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you again soon.